Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Rick Williams, Sarah Bloomquist, and meteorologist David Murphy.
Good afternoon. In the news this noon, Philadelphia's top cop is cracking down on corruption within the ranks of the department.
Also, catching up on your sleep on the weekends may not necessarily be helping your health.
But first, we're following a developing story out of Delaware County this noon. A teacher in the Westchester area school district is under arrest. He's accused of possessing hundreds of sexually explicit pictures of young children on his computer. Action News reporter Chad Pradelli is live now in media, where officials have just wrapped up a news conference. Chad, what can you tell us?
Well, the 500 charges of child porn are troubling in themselves, but just as disturbing for investigators here is the amount of contact David Devine had with young children. He was not only an elementary school teacher, but also a camp counselor. Acting on a cyber tip from the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, authorities moved in yesterday and arrested the 34-year-old. They say Devine stored child porn on his home computers and the website ning.com.
At this point, what we have is the possession of child pornography. We have no reports of actual contact offenses.
It appears Devine had an insatiable desire to be close to young children. Investigators say he taught first graders at Penwood Elementary in the Westchester School District. He lived across the street from Rose Tree Elementary in Media, and he was also the director of Camp Flying Hawk, a camp in Delaware County, where he taught second and fifth graders who came to his home on Fridays.
This was, as we understand it, a camp that he controlled, owned, and served as its director. So there may be no one else associated with the camp.
Investigators say so far there's no indication Devine victimized any of the children with whom he came in contact, but the district attorney is still investigating.
If the parent or other person in the community believes they have information that may assist law enforcement in connection with this ongoing investigation, we'd like to hear from them. We're also reaching out to any parent whose child may have had any kind of contact with Mr. Devine to touch base with us.
And Devine is expected to be arraigned on those child porn charges here in the next couple of hours. Now, if parents have anything they'd like to report, they're urged to call the Criminal Investigations Division here in Delaware County. That number is 610-891-8746. I'm live at the Delaware County Courthouse. Chad Pradelli, Channel 6 Action News.
All right, Chad, thank you. The southbound lanes of I-495 in Minkledale, Delaware, still closed at this hour following a deadly crash this morning. Chopper 6 HD over the scene between I-95 and Route 13 just before 7 a.m. State police say the driver of a pickup truck lost control and crossed over the median. He then smashed head-on into a dump truck carrying mulch. The driver of the pickup was killed. The dump truck driver was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Officials tell Action News the southbound lanes of I-495 should reopen within the hour.
This afternoon, Philadelphia Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey and Mayor Michael Nutter will hold a news conference to outline new efforts to crack down on corruption on the force. Just last week, this surveillance video led to the arrest of Officer Kenneth Crockett, a 26-year veteran. He was charged with stealing $825 from a bar while responding to a break-in. Last month, these three officers were indicted on federal charges for stealing heroin from a drug dealer and giving it to an undercover agent during a sting operation. Commissioner Ramsey has fired 55 police officers since he took the job 2.5 years ago. We'll have much more on the commissioner's new plan to weed out bad cops on Action News beginning at 5.
All right, time to talk weather. The heat and humidity are back as promised, and with them comes the threat of severe storms across our region, however. Outside, we go to Sky 6 Live HD, taking a look at the Center City skyline. Plenty of cloud cover with a few breaks of sunshine right now, and things may look relatively calm at this hour. That's likely going to change by day's end. Let's head over to meteorologist David Murphy at the Action News Big Board with all the details. Hey, David.
Well, the big story is probably the heat and humidity for most of us, because these storms, when they form, are liable to be fairly spotty. Right now, we don't see anything, just a little bit of precipitation south and west of Wilmington, a bit more out in Lancaster County. The rest of us, for now anyway, are dry. The wider view on Storm Tracker 6 Live 3D, though, and we do have some action out there, particularly to the west of Philadelphia, and you can very easily see the location of that cold front with all that precipitation in front of it. We have a flow of humid air coming out of the southwest. That's what's helping to get us hot and humid. It's humid as all get out down in Atlanta, and we're drawing some of that in, also the heat. And there are some thunderstorms around. There are a lot of recent lightning strikes, in fact, along this system to our west. As this pushes toward the east, I think it is going to fall apart to some degree, but anything that does manage to pop and survive into our area could indeed be on the strong side. There's a heat advisory. It started at 11 o'clock this morning. It goes until 10 o'clock tonight. Now, this is the main issue for most of you, as the heat temperature-wise is going to go up to in the 90s, probably the mid-90s, but it's going to feel like it's probably about 100 degrees or more at the height of the afternoon heating. So that's issue number 1 for today. Then we get into issue number 2, which would be those thunderstorms. And the National Weather Service actually has a, let me just go ahead and fire this up because we're having a little bit of a blip here. There we go. The National Weather Service has a slight risk for severe weather today. Any thunderstorms that form would produce small hail, gusty winds, and lightning. But again, the storms that we're looking at are going to be fairly spotty. Temperatures right now, 85 in Philadelphia, 87 in Wilmington, 88 in Dover. Millville has actually been reporting a temperature of up over 100 degrees. I think that might be a blip in the equipment there, but it is still hot, probably up close to 90, and the heat index is making it feel like it's just over 90 in much of the region. When I come back, we'll talk about this afternoon's high, and fortunately much better weather on the way as we head into the weekend. Rick?
All right, David, thank you. And remember, you can get the very latest on approaching storms and conditions anytime on our website at 6abc.com. Click on the Weather channel for access to the exclusive 7-day forecast. You can also see how close storms are to your neighborhood with our Street Tracker feature, 6abc.com. Well, it has been 108 days since millions of gallons of oil spilled into the Gulf of Mexico, and officials say the end is finally in sight. BP is now in the process of pumping cement into the blown-out well, the final step in the so-called static kill procedure. It's welcome news for the millions of residents along the Gulf who've had a tough recovery ahead of them. ABC's Diana Alvear has the latest.
Operation Static Kill seems to be a success. Engineers pumped heavy mud into the top of the well, 2.5 miles long. It forced the oil back into the earth. Research teams then scoured the well looking for any leaks. There were none. Next comes a layer of cement, nearly 2 football fields long. The cement will ensure the damaged well never leaks again.
We want to make sure that it's permanently sealed with cement.
For added security, federal officials say they will continue drilling a relief well. It should be completed within the next couple of weeks. As for the oil already in the Gulf,
the vast majority of the oil has either been cleaned, skimmed, contained.
But even 26% of the oil that was released would be the equivalent of about 4 Exxon Valdez's. So there's still a lot of oil in the Gulf.
What has also lingered is the perception that seafood from the region is tainted. Fishermen say their catch is clean.
You can taste them. You can taste them.
Some shoppers have their doubts.
I wouldn't risk it with me or my children. Not now.
In Dauphin Island, Alabama, a community dependent on tourism, some business owners have been forced to face the worst.
For my restaurant, I myself will have to go out of business because I didn't, with the window of opportunity, the 100 days of high volume did not happen.
These Gulf residents say they fear it may take longer to restore consumer confidence than it does to clean up the oil that created the crisis. Diana Alvear, Channel 6 Action News.
An annual checkup shows President Obama's sweeping healthcare overhaul will extend the life of the Medicare Hospital Insurance Fund. But the news is not so good for Social Security. The annual trustees report for Medicare and Social Security was released today. It shows the Medicare Trust Fund will not be exhausted until 2029. That's 12 years longer than estimated just last year. That's owed to cost savings made possible by the passage of the healthcare reform bill. But the trustees warn the recession has made the outlook for the Social Security Trust Fund worse in the short term. Opponents of same-sex marriage are planning appeals in response to a landmark ruling that overturned California's gay marriage ban. A judge struck down the 2008 ban on same-sex marriage, declaring it violated the constitutional guarantee of equal protection. The ruling set off widespread celebrations by gay rights activists. The couple that brought the case summed up what the victory means to them.
Our family is just as loving, just as real, and just as valid as everyone else's.
Now, the decision also set off protests. Some are accusing the federal judge, a Republican appointee who is also openly gay, of not considering the case objectively.
The judge has imposed his own agenda upon the voters and the children and the parents of California.
The judge still has to decide if he wants gay marriage to resume during the appeals process. The outcome of an appeal could eventually make it all the way to the Supreme Court.
In Washington, the Senate is expected to confirm Elena Kagan as the next justice on the U.S. Supreme Court later today. With her confirmation all but certain, Kagan will become only the 4th woman ever to serve on the High Court. It also marked the first time 3 women have served on the Supreme Court at the same time. Kagan will sit alongside Sonia Sotomayor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Still to come here on Action News at noon, a Maryland police officer thought he'd cornered the suspects he'd been chasing, but they have one last trick up their sleeve. We'll show you the dramatic dash cam video.
Also important news for pregnant women. Watching your weight gain may not just benefit you, it may also help your baby later in life. We'll explain.
Those stories, plus meteorologist David Murphy returns with more on the threat of storms heading our way when Action News continues right after this. Breaking news now on the westbound Schuylkill Expressway. You can see here that a car is overturned right on the Girard Street off-ramp. You know this because this is right where you get off to go to the zoo from the westbound Schuylkill to Girard. We don't know at this point if anybody was injured, but you do see police, paramedics, fire trucks, and ambulance there on the scene as well. Traffic is backing up westbound on the Schuylkill Expressway as the cars and trucks just ease past this crash scene. But again, the westbound Schuylkill Expressway at the Girard off-ramp, as you go to the Philadelphia Zoo, you want to take an alternate route. We'll keep you updated. Take a look at this dash cam video. A Maryland police officer was chasing a carjacked SUV last month. The SUV reached a one-way bridge where a car was parked, trapping the suspects. He saw what happened. The officer thought the chase was over, but suddenly the driver of the SUV, the suspect, reversed, drove up over the hood of the police car, onto the roof, and tipped over onto its side. The 3 teens inside that SUV were arrested. Amazingly, no one was hurt.
Authorities in Bucks County are looking for a man who escaped from custody yesterday. They say this man, Rodney McDonald, was being detained for a urine test when he ran out of the men's community center in Doylestown. The center houses work release inmates. The Help Wanted sign is up all across Delaware. The Delaware Volunteer Firefighters Association has launched a drive to recruit volunteers using radio ads and promotions that'll be shown at movie theaters. Individual fire companies are also reaching out to the communities. The association says it's hard to keep volunteers because of the time commitment of training. The average volunteer serves for 5 to 7 years. In Delaware, only Wilmington has paid firefighters.
The Phillies have picked up veteran first baseman Mike Sweeney from the Seattle Mariners to help fill in for the injured Ryan Howard. Rookie Dominic Brown continued to impress last night against the Florida Marlins. He used his cannon of an arm to throw out Gabby Sanchez at the plate. Brown also drove in 3 runs in the Phillies' 7-2 win. They remain 2 games behind the Braves. They've won 11 of their last 13.
Get the ball down.
We have more breaking news to report this noon, this time out of Missouri, Gray Summit, Missouri, and we're looking live in the aftermath of a crash involving 2 buses and a tractor trailer. At least 50 people have been injured, and if you look at the bottom of your screen, a number of those injured are being attended to right now on the side of the road. We don't know how the crash happened, but again, it involved 2 buses and a tractor trailer, and as many as 50 people have been injured. Again, this is in Missouri, Gray Summit, Missouri. We'll continue to bring you more information as it becomes available. Well, President Obama is at an auto factory in Chicago telling Americans that some jobs are being created despite the tough economy. He's at a Ford facility where a redesigned energy-efficient Explorer SUV will be made. The president said his unpopular decision to help bail out U.S. automakers is producing results. Ford did not take the bailout money, of course, but the president says the bailout did help boost the industry. The factory hopes to export Explorers to 90 nations and is adding 1,200 jobs thanks in part to federal loan guarantees for clean energy investment.
Well, it seems sleeping in on the weekend does not make up for the sleep you miss during the week. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine looked at 159 healthy adults between the ages of 22 and 45. One group was restricted to 4 hours of sleep for 5 nights in a row. A 10-hour slumber on the weekend did remedy some of the effects of chronic sleep restriction. However, participants still experience lapses of attention and delayed reaction time. Researchers suggest complete recovery from lack of sleep may require multiple nights of extended sleep. Well, women who gain lots of weight while pregnant are more likely to have high birth weight babies. And a new study suggests that may increase the child's risk of obesity while growing up and as an adult. Researchers at Boston's Children's Hospital and Columbia University in New York reviewed more than 1 million pregnancies. The mothers who gained 50 pounds while pregnant were twice as likely to have a high birth weight baby than those who gained 20 pounds. 30 pounds was the average weight gain. Time now for a check of that AccuWeather forecast. As predicted, the return of the heat and humidity, but we have to keep an eye to the skies.
We do have to keep an eye on the skies. I think most of us are probably going to avoid severe weather today, but
so I don't have to keep an eye on the sky.
But you still do, Rick.
David will do it for you.
We're not sure exactly where it could pop.
Okay.
Let's start you in Storm Tracker 6 Live HD. Fortunately, we've got nothing out there right now, and that's always good news. Stepping outside on Chopper 6 a little earlier, flying over the great city of Bethlehem, the scene of Music Fest, which officially opens up in the Christmas city at 5 o'clock tomorrow night. I'm going to be up there counting crows. You want to come up and count some crows with me? All right, 85 degrees right now. It is very muggy too. Humidity 59%. Barometric pressure 29.73 inches and dropping off a bit. The winds are out of the west-southwest at 16 miles per hour, still scooping up some of that humid air and drawing it right into our neck of the woods. Ocean temperature 64 off Atlantic City, so a little bit cool in the water, but it's so humid on the beach that you probably don't mind chillier numbers in the ocean. 88 degrees in Trenton right now, 85 in Philadelphia, 87 in Wilmington, 83 in Allentown, down the shore 86. This 101 reading in Millville I do think is a computer error or an equipment error. It just doesn't make sense that it'd be that much warmer, but your heat indexes right now are making it feel like it's already in the low 90s in most spots. Boy, it's easy to see that cold front on the satellite and radar imagery, isn't it? Right there, forcing a big line of clouds and also some occasional showers and thunderstorms. I think up here in the north is probably the area where we've got the best forcing mechanism in place for severe weather. There could be some more down here, but what does manage to pop up locally later today and this evening could be very strong. We'll talk more about that with Future Tracker in a moment. The big story for most of you, though, is going to be the heat and humidity. Oppressive heat and humidity today with highs getting into the 90s, heat index potentially up around 100 for at least an hour or two this afternoon. And then we've got that secondary issue with the possibility of some heavy downpours and some thunderstorms. Now by 2:30, Future Tracker again has most of the action up to the north. But as we advance this through the rest of the day, every now and then you start to see a little pop-up something or other, and where it hits, it could wind up again producing a heavy downpour. By 7:30, we think the front's going to be far enough through where the best chance of precip would be more down the shore in South Jersey and over toward Delaware, but we still can't rule out something in Philadelphia. It'd be a great evening to tune into Action News at 5 and 6 to see what radar is showing, and you can check that out on 6abc.com. How about 9:30 tonight, though? Yeah, most of the action is over by the shore, but this is the model's way of saying that it thinks these storms, when they do form, are going to be very strong and very gusty. By 11 o'clock tonight, Cecily's on the air. Hopefully it all is over by then. Some sun, heavy thunderstorms possible at the shore, as you just saw. 87 degrees is the high. Up in the Poconos, perhaps a heavy thunderstorm, but that'll probably be earlier in the afternoon or maybe up to about dinner time. After that, I think you're probably okay in the mountains. 95 is today's high in Philadelphia, 73 the overnight low, muggy, and an occasional shower or thunderstorm. Again, today's threat with those thunderstorms, yes, they're going to be spotty. You just saw that on the model. But where they hit, they could be strong with damaging wind gusts, heavy downpours, and lots of that lightning flashing around. So you definitely take cover if one of these heads your way. Excessive heat is also in place. We've got an advisory up until 10 o'clock. Temperatures this afternoon in the 90s, heat index around 100 or more. Cool drinks and taking it easy will be important. The Union in Columbus tonight in Chester at 8 o'clock. There's a real good chance the storms are over by then, but it'll be muggy. That game on ESPN, by the way, if you don't have tickets. Tomorrow, lower humidity as that front is off the coast. Your exclusive AccuWeather 7-day, 95, sticky out there today. Some strong thunderstorms possible, probably winding down later this evening. 90 is tomorrow's high, but less humid as we go through the day, and the weekend is looking great. 86 degrees on Saturday. Sarah's happy. 88 on Sunday. Low humidity, lots of sun, and then the humidity and the chance of storms builds back in early next week. Okay.
Yay, weekend.
All right.
Yay, weekend.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Coming up tonight on Action News beginning at 5 and 6, she was not in court for throwing a cell phone. No, not this time. We'll tell you why model Naomi Campbell was testifying in a war crimes trial overseas.
Also, forget about the sand art. You can get a taste of some real art as we're live down at the shore with all the fun weekend events tonight. Down and much more coming away. Now for Sarah and Dave, the entire Action News team, I'm Rick Williams. Have a nice afternoon.
Watch the Pennsylvania Lottery drawing tonight right before Jeopardy!
Curious George Live swings into the Wachovia Center on August 20th and 21st. Monkey around on 6abc.com for show information and for your chance to win a family 4-pack to Curious George Live and to the Philadelphia Zoo. Enjoy the monkey business.
Jim Gardner. I gotta hear from Jim. Jim makes sense of it.
He gets it.
When Jim says it, I listen.
Jim knows what's going on.
I love Jim. He's the man. So to really know what's going on,
To know that I'm getting the real deal, I gotta hear it from Jim.
Jim Gardner, weeknights at 6 and 11 on Action News. Action News, the team you trust the most. Now on 24/7 at 6abc.com. Action News all the time.
The chance of a lifetime is this close.
Big question here.
Emotions run wild.
I'm laughing and crying at the same time.
And the payoff is huge.
$250,000.
On Millionaire.
Next on 6ABC. Here's what's coming up today, starting at 12:30 on 6ABC. Closed captioning sponsored by the Fulton Financial Corporation, named one of Forbes' 100 most trustworthy companies, and parent company of Fulton Bank and the bank.